Every night, as you prepare to sleep, your mind is still processing the social cues and interactions from your day. By tuning into the subtle patterns of human behavior, you can unlock new ways to connect with others, influence outcomes, and strengthen your own confidence. Imagine carrying these practical insights with you, not just in conversations, but even as you settle into rest. Tonight, we'll explore simple techniques that make these skills accessible and actionable, helping you sleep smarter and wake up ready to engage with the world. The mirror technique is a simple yet powerful way to build connection quickly. By subtly matching someone's gestures, posture, or tone of voice, you signal that you're in sync with them. This creates a sense of familiarity and comfort, making the other person feel understood and valued. Imagine meeting someone new and noticing how their relaxed posture puts you at ease when you mirror it. With practice, you'll find that people open up more easily and trust forms naturally. The yes ladder is a simple yet powerful technique for building agreement in any conversation. By starting with small, easy-to-accept requests, you create a pattern of saying yes that makes larger agreements feel natural. Imagine asking a colleague if they have a minute to chat. Then if they agree, moving on to discuss a new idea. Each small yes builds momentum, making the next step easier. This approach not only smooths social interactions, but also boosts your influence, helping you connect and collaborate more effectively. When you make a request, adding a reason, even a simple one, can dramatically increase your chances of getting a positive response. This is known as the because technique. People are wired to seek explanations, and when you provide a reason, it satisfies their need for logic, even if the reason is straightforward. For example, saying, "Can I cut in line because I'm in a hurry?" is far more effective than just asking to cut in. By giving a because, you tap into a subtle psychological trigger that makes others more willing to say yes. Eye contact is one of the simplest yet most powerful tools for building trust and signaling confidence. When you meet someone's gaze intentionally, you're sending a clear message. You're present, attentive, and open to connection. People instinctively feel more comfortable and respected when you hold eye contact, even for just a few seconds. It's not about staring, but about showing genuine interest and warmth. Try it in your next conversation. You'll notice how quickly the dynamic shifts and how much easier it becomes to establish rapport. Open body language is a subtle yet powerful way to signal approachability. When you keep your arms uncrossed and your posture relaxed, you instantly appear more welcoming to others. Imagine standing in a room with your shoulders loose and your hands visible. People are far more likely to engage with you. This simple adjustment can break down invisible barriers and invite genuine connection. Try it the next time you enter a social setting and notice how others respond to your open presence. Microexpressions are those brief, involuntary facial movements that can reveal what someone is really feeling, even when they try to hide it. Imagine catching a flash of surprise or a hint of doubt in a conversation. These subtle cues often last less than a second. By training yourself to notice these quick signals, you gain a deeper understanding of people's true emotions and intentions. This skill can help you navigate social interactions with greater confidence and empathy, making your connections more authentic and meaningful. Social proof is a powerful force in shaping our decisions. When we're unsure about what to do, we instinctively look to those around us for guidance. Imagine entering a quiet room and noticing everyone whispering. You'll likely lower your own voice without thinking. This tendency helps us fit in and avoid mistakes, but it also means our choices are often influenced by the behavior of others. Understanding social proof gives you an edge in navigating group dynamics and making more intentional decisions. The reciprocity principle is simple but powerful. When you give something first, people naturally feel compelled to respond in kind. Whether it's offering a genuine compliment or lending a helping hand, your gesture creates a subtle sense of obligation. This isn't manipulation, it's a fundamental part of human connection. When you start by giving, you open the door for trust and cooperation, making others more likely to support you or return the favor. Try it in your next interaction and notice how quickly the dynamic shifts in your favor. When something is rare or in short supply, our brains automatically assign it greater value. This is known as the scarcity effect. Imagine seeing the last slice of cake at a party. Suddenly, it feels more desirable than all the others that came before. Marketers use this principle all the time, creating urgency with phrases like limited time offer or only a few left. Recognizing this bias can help you make smarter decisions and avoid being swayed by artificial scarcity. Anchoring bias is a subtle psychological effect that can influence nearly every decision we make. When we encounter a piece of information for the first time, like a price, a personality trait, or a story, it becomes a mental anchor. All future judgments tend to revolve around this initial impression, even if it's incomplete or misleading. Imagine meeting someone who seems reserved at first. That impression can color your perception of their actions for weeks. Recognizing this bias allows you to pause, question your assumptions, and make more balanced decisions. Confirmation bias is a subtle yet powerful force in how we process information. When faced with new facts or opinions, we instinctively pay more attention to details that confirm what we already think, while ignoring or dismissing anything that contradicts our beliefs. Imagine reading an article that challenges your favorite idea. You're likely to spot the points that support your view and overlook the rest. This bias shapes our conversations, decisions, and even our confidence in what we know. Recognizing it is the first step towards seeing the bigger picture and making smarter choices. The foot in the door technique is a simple yet powerful strategy for gaining agreement. It works by first asking for something small, something easy to say yes to. Once someone agrees to that minor request, they're more likely to accept a larger one later. Imagine asking a colleague to review a short email, and after they agree, you later request their help on a bigger project. This approach leverages our natural desire for consistency, making each subsequent yes feel almost automatic. The door-in-the-face technique is a clever way to make your requests more likely to be accepted. You start by asking for something quite large, something you expect will be refused. Then you follow up with a much smaller, more reasonable request. Because the first ask was so big, the second one feels like a compromise, and people are more inclined to say yes. This approach taps into our natural desire to be fair and accommodating, making it a powerful tool in everyday negotiations and social interactions. The halo effect is a powerful psychological shortcut. When someone notices a single positive trait, like confidence, kindness, or even a sharp outfit, they tend to assume you excel in other areas too. Imagine meeting someone who smiles warmly. Instantly, you might believe they're trustworthy and intelligent, even without evidence. This bias shapes first impressions and can influence relationships, job interviews, and everyday interactions. By understanding the halo effect, you can leverage your strengths to create a lasting, positive impact on those around you. Negativity bias is a psychological tendency that makes us pay more attention to negative events than positive ones. Imagine receiving 10 compliments and 1 criticism. The criticism is likely to linger in your mind much longer. This happens because our brains are wired to spot potential threats, a survival mechanism from our evolutionary past. As a result, negative feedback and experiences often feel more impactful, shaping our mood and decisions. Understanding this bias can help you put setbacks in perspective and focus more consciously on positive moments. Most of us walk into a room and feel like all eyes are on us, analyzing every move we make. This is known as the spotlight effect, a psychological bias that leads us to believe our actions and mistakes are far more noticeable than they actually are. In reality, people are usually focused on themselves, not scrutinizing your every word or gesture. Understanding this can help ease social anxiety and boost your confidence, knowing that minor slip-ups rarely attract the attention we imagine. Next time you feel self-conscious, remember, the spotlight is much dimmer than you think. The fundamental attribution error is a common psychological bias where we tend to explain someone's behavior by pointing to their character, rather than considering the situation they're in. Imagine seeing a colleague arrive late and instantly thinking they're careless, instead of wondering if they faced unexpected traffic. This shortcut in our thinking can lead to misunderstandings and missed opportunities for empathy. By recognizing this bias, you'll start to see people's actions in a broader context, which can improve your social connections and influence. It's a simple shift, but it makes your interactions smarter and more compassionate. Groupthink is a subtle force that can shape the decisions of any team or community. When people prioritize harmony and agreement over critical thinking, they may ignore warning signs or dismiss alternative ideas. Imagine a meeting where everyone nods along, even if doubts linger beneath the surface. This desire to avoid conflict can lead to choices that aren't fully examined, sometimes resulting in mistakes that could have been avoided. Recognizing groupthink is the first step toward fostering genuine collaboration and smarter decisions. Have you ever noticed yourself picking up someone else's gestures or way of speaking without even realizing it? This is known as the chameleon effect, a subtle social skill where people unconsciously mirror the behaviors, attitudes, or expressions of those around them. It's a natural way we build connection and trust, helping us blend into social situations and feel accepted. By understanding this effect, you can become more aware of how influence and rapport are built in everyday interactions. Next time you're in a group, pay attention. You might be surprised at how much silent mimicry is happening all around you. Imagine walking into a room, convinced that everyone will ignore you. Chances are your body language will close off, and your tone might sound uncertain, making it more likely that people actually do overlook you. This is the self-fulfilling prophecy in action. Our expectations subtly guide our choices, which then create the outcomes we anticipated. Whether it's confidence in a social setting or doubt before a big presentation, what you expect often becomes what you experience. By recognizing this pattern, you can start to set more positive expectations and watch how your reality shifts in response. The Pygmalion effect reveals a powerful truth. When you genuinely believe in someone's potential, you can help them rise to meet those expectations. Imagine a manager who expects great things from their team. That belief often translates into more encouragement, better feedback, and a supportive environment. Over time, people internalize these positive signals and start performing at a higher level. It's a subtle yet practical way to influence growth, whether in the workplace, at home, or among friends. By simply adjusting your mindset, you can unlock hidden strengths in others and foster real confidence. The Dunning-Kruger effect reveals a curious truth about human confidence. When someone lacks skill or knowledge in a particular area, they often fail to recognize their own limitations. This leads them to overestimate their abilities, sometimes with surprising certainty. Imagine a person who's just learned the basics of a new subject. They might feel ready to teach others, unaware of the gaps in their understanding. It's a reminder that genuine expertise often comes with humility, while inexperience can breed unwarranted confidence. Cognitive dissonance is that uneasy feeling you get when your beliefs clash with your actions or new information. Imagine telling yourself you value honesty, but then you exaggerate on a resume. That tension pushes you to either justify your behavior or rethink your values. People often resolve this discomfort by changing their attitudes or finding reasons to make their choices seem logical. Understanding this process helps you spot when others, and even yourself, are subtly shifting perspectives to restore inner harmony. Social loafing is a phenomenon where people tend to put in less effort when they're part of a group compared to when they're working alone. Imagine a team project where some members coast along, assuming others will pick up the slack. This happens because individual contributions can feel less visible, and the sense of personal responsibility fades. Understanding social loafing helps you recognize when group dynamics might be holding back performance, and it offers a chance to adjust strategies for better teamwork. By making roles clear and accountability direct, you can counteract this subtle drop in motivation. Picture a crowded street where someone suddenly needs help. You might expect that with so many people around, someone would step in right away. But in reality, the opposite often happens. Everyone assumes someone else will take action, so no one does. This is the bystander effect, a psychological phenomenon that makes us less likely to help when others are present. Understanding this can help you recognize those moments and choose to act, even when others hesitate. Priming is a powerful psychological phenomenon where subtle cues shape our thoughts and behaviors, often without us realizing it. Imagine walking into a room that smells faintly of fresh coffee. You might suddenly feel more alert, even if you haven't had a sip. These invisible triggers can influence everything from our mood to the decisions we make. By recognizing how priming works, you can start to notice the hidden influences in your environment and use them to your advantage. Whether it's choosing the right words or setting the right atmosphere, small details can have a big impact on how you feel and act. Habits are the silent architects of our daily lives, guiding our actions often without us even noticing. When you repeat a routine, your brain starts to automate the process, making it easier to stick with over time. The real power lies in making small, intentional changes, like adjusting your bedtime or swapping out a late-night screen for a book. These tiny shifts, repeated consistently, can transform your sleep quality and overall well-being. By understanding how habits work, you gain the ability to shape your behavior and unlock lasting results. Have you ever noticed how an unfinished task keeps popping into your thoughts, even when you try to focus elsewhere? This is the Zeigarnik effect in action. Psychologists discovered that our minds naturally hold on to incomplete activities, creating a subtle tension that pushes us to finish what we started. It's why that half-written email or open tab feels impossible to ignore. Understanding this effect can help you harness your mental energy and finally clear those lingering tasks from your mind. The Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule, reveals a powerful truth. Most outcomes stem from a small fraction of inputs. In many situations, just 20% of your actions or relationships drive 80% of your results. Imagine focusing on the few habits that truly improve your sleep, rather than spreading your energy thin. By identifying and doubling down on what matters most, you can maximize your impact with less effort. This approach isn't just efficient, it's transformative for building confidence and making meaningful changes in your life. The endowment effect is a subtle psychological bias that makes us value our possessions more than identical items we don't own. Imagine you're holding a mug you've used for years. Suddenly, it feels worth much more than the same mug on a store shelf. This happens because ownership creates a sense of attachment and personal investment. Recognizing this effect can help you understand why letting go of things or negotiating sales often feels harder than expected. By being aware of the endowment effect, you can make more objective decisions about what truly matters to you. The sunk cost fallacy is a powerful psychological trap. It leads people to continue investing time, energy, or money into a decision simply because they've already spent resources, even when it no longer makes sense. Imagine holding on to a failing project just because you've already put in months of work. This tendency can cloud judgment and prevent us from making smarter choices. Recognizing the sunk cost fallacy allows you to step back, assess the situation objectively, and focus on what truly benefits you moving forward. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, is a powerful force that shapes how we interact with the world. It's that restless feeling when you see others enjoying something you're not part of, fueling a constant urge to stay connected and updated. This desire can lead to choices that aren't always in our best interest, like sacrificing sleep to check notifications or attending events just to feel included. Over time, FOMO can heighten anxiety and make it harder to relax as the mind stays alert for what might be happening elsewhere. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward reclaiming your peace and making decisions that truly serve your well-being. The authority principle is simple but powerful. People tend to follow instructions from those who project confidence and expertise, often without questioning. Imagine a doctor in a white coat or a manager who speaks with certainty. These signals trigger a natural response to trust and obey. By understanding this, you can recognize when authority is influencing your decisions and also learn how to present yourself in a way that inspires trust and respect. It's not just about titles. It's about how you carry yourself and communicate your knowledge. The contrast principle is a powerful psychological tool that shapes how we see and choose. When two options are presented side by side, our perception of each is influenced by the differences between them. For example, a moderately priced item can seem like a bargain when placed next to something much more expensive. This effect isn't just about money. It applies to confidence, social interactions, and even the way we judge people's behavior. By understanding how contrast works, you can guide decisions and influence outcomes with subtle comparisons. The familiarity principle is a powerful force in human psychology. Simply put, the more often we encounter a person or an idea, the more likely we are to develop a sense of comfort and even preference for them. This effect is subtle but consistent. Think about how a song you hear repeatedly starts to grow on you, or how a colleague you see every day feels easier to talk to. Repeated exposure reduces uncertainty and builds trust, making interactions smoother and more enjoyable. By understanding this principle, you can use it to strengthen connections and make your presence more positively memorable. The peak end rule reveals a surprising truth about how we remember experiences. Instead of recalling every detail, our minds focus on the most intense moment, the peak, and how things ended. Imagine a long meeting. If it finishes with a burst of laughter or a tense disagreement, that final impression shapes your memory far more than the rest. This principle explains why a single highlight or a strong finish can define our overall feelings, whether it's a vacation, a conversation, or even a simple daily routine. By understanding the peak end rule, you can shape how others remember interactions, simply by paying attention to those key moments. The ostrich effect describes our tendency to ignore negative information, hoping that if we don't look, the problem will disappear. Imagine receiving a worrying email about your finances and choosing not to open it, just to avoid the stress. This behavior is rooted in our desire to protect ourselves from discomfort, even if it means missing out on important facts. By understanding the ostrich effect, you can start to recognize when you're avoiding reality and take small steps to face challenges head-on. Over time, confronting uncomfortable truths can actually lead to greater confidence and control in your life. The false consensus effect is a subtle psychological bias that leads us to believe our opinions and habits are more widely shared than they actually are. Imagine thinking everyone prefers the same morning routine or holds the same views on a hot topic, when in reality, people's perspectives are far more diverse. This effect can influence our confidence in social situations, sometimes making us feel more connected, but also risking misunderstandings. Recognizing this bias helps you navigate conversations with greater empathy and accuracy, opening the door to genuine connection and influence. Physical proximity plays a powerful role in how we build relationships. When you regularly share the same space with someone, whether it's a colleague at work or a neighbor in your building, the chances of forming a connection rise dramatically. This isn't just coincidence. Our brains are wired to notice and respond to familiar faces. Over time, simple, repeated encounters can lead to trust and even friendship. By understanding the proximity principle, you can use your environment to naturally foster meaningful connections. The framing effect is a powerful psychological principle that shapes how we interpret information. Imagine being offered two identical products, but one is described as 90% fat-free, while the other is labeled contains 10% fat. Most people instinctively prefer the first, even though both statements mean the same thing. This subtle shift in wording can dramatically influence our decisions and emotional responses. By understanding the framing effect, you can become more aware of how choices are presented to you, and use this insight to make smarter, more confident decisions in everyday life. Most of us assume that our feelings are written all over our faces, but in reality, people are far less perceptive than we think. This is known as the illusion of transparency. The belief that our emotions and thoughts are more visible to others than they actually are. Imagine feeling nervous before a meeting, convinced everyone can see your anxiety, when in fact, most people are focused on themselves. Recognizing this bias can help you feel more confident in social situations, knowing that your inner world is not as exposed as you might fear. The curse of knowledge is a subtle trap we all fall into. Once you understand a concept, it's surprisingly difficult to recall what it felt like before you knew it. Imagine trying to teach someone a skill you've mastered. Details that seem obvious to you might be confusing for them. This bias can make communication less effective, especially when sharing new ideas or instructions. Recognizing this mental shortcut helps you connect better with others and tailor your message to their perspective. Have you ever promised yourself you'd finish a project in an afternoon, only to watch the hours slip away? That's the planning fallacy in action, a common bias where we underestimate the time, effort, and obstacles involved in a task. Psychologists explain that our brains tend to focus on best-case scenarios, ignoring past experiences and hidden complexities. This optimism can lead to missed deadlines and unnecessary stress. By recognizing the planning fallacy, you can start to build more realistic schedules and set yourself up for smoother, more confident progress. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools for building genuine connections. When you share a personal story, you invite others into your world, allowing them to see your emotions, your challenges, and your triumphs. This openness creates a sense of trust and empathy, making people more receptive to your ideas and influence. Imagine describing a moment when you overcame a setback. Suddenly, your listeners aren't just hearing facts, they're feeling your journey. By weaving stories into your conversations, you naturally engage others and inspire them to take action or shift their perspective. Recognizing subtle social patterns isn't just about understanding others, it's about empowering yourself. When you spot these cues, you can respond with greater confidence, knowing what drives the conversation. This awareness also deepens your empathy, allowing you to connect more genuinely and avoid misunderstandings. By applying these insights, you'll find that social situations become less daunting and more rewarding. Ultimately, mastering these skills helps you build stronger, more authentic relationships,